Good morning from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant, and we welcome you to Kentucky Newsmakers. Later, Lexington Mayor Linda Gorton joins us. We'll talk about the upcoming 4th of July festivities, the city's new budget, a new business park, and several other topics. That's later. But first, Lexington Fire Chief Jason Wells is joining us for some timely reminders. We'll talk about the fireworks rules and safety and about some recent advancements for the fire department. Chief Wells, thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, this is coming at the end of a very tough week with heat and humidity combined. It really is rough out there. I'm sure that has to be a consideration for the fire department and the way you respond at times.
Certainly it is a big consideration for our members and the way that they operate. We always have to rotate crews and be mindful of making sure that those folks are hydrated and that we're changing out crews more and more frequently to allow them to work in what is a very hot environment. Another concern for us is obviously a big portion of what we do is emergency medical response, and those high heat conditions are extremely strenuous on the public. Just over the course of 4 or 5 days when the heat was really peaking, we responded to 16 heat-related emergencies and transported 10 of those folks to the hospital. So it is a very significant risk to our residents.
And always that reminder to not keep children or pets in a vehicle.
Absolutely, never. That raises the temperature so rapidly that it's deadly.
It's the season for fireworks, 2 or 3 week celebration here in Kentucky sometimes. But what should people know about staying safe for those fireworks and the rules?
Yeah, sure. So I think the rules is a great place to start. So there is an ordinance in Fayette County, and what that essentially says is that if it goes up or it blows up, it is prohibited in Fayette County. So people need to understand what they can and can't buy or can and can't set off. And really, even if it were not prohibited, other communities have different rules, but those types of fireworks can be very dangerous, and they're really best left to the professionals. Professionals put on phenomenal shows, and most communities have those, so that's a great opportunity to go see those big fireworks. Even the smaller fireworks, though, can create a lot of heat. They can create a fire danger.
So if somebody is having that small backyard display, what should they be mindful of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So even the smaller fireworks like sparklers or those volcanoes, those things put off a tremendous amount of heat. They can be very dangerous. You don't ever stand right over top of them. And once those fireworks have been expended, they need to go into a metal container with some water and be placed away from the home.
Because occasionally you do get those calls that they get out of control and cause a fire, right?
Yeah, every year it's, there's something that has spread, and it may just be in the grass or the brush, or it sometimes spreads to structures.
Chief, there's a very exciting partnership with the Kentucky Blood Center that is now allowing EMS to provide blood transfusions before patients get to the hospital. That would seem to be a game changer. Do you expect that to be important going forward?
I think it is going to be very important, and you know, we know that in Fayette County we're very fortunate because of the number and the location of the hospitals that we have around here. But even the short period of time in which we are transporting someone, statistics tell us that providing whole blood is going to save lives for those individuals who are experiencing hemorrhagic shock. And so that is extremely exciting for us. It's a great partnership with Kentucky Blood Center, the University of Kentucky, some of our surrounding agencies, and it's going to be a life-saving intervention that we can provide.
So you keep a universal type on board then?
We do, yes. Yeah. It's low titer O blood.
The recently enacted Lexington budget provides your department with some extra equipment. I understand this past week you dedicated some new fire engines as well. Always important to keep the equipment up to date and as best you can get, right?
It is, and we're so grateful to our city leadership, to the mayor and our council for funding those items and ensuring that we're staying ahead of what are honestly some really challenging times in the apparatus industry, the fire apparatus this industry. Some of those apparatus have a 4-year delivery time from when you order them until when they're ready, and cost well over $1 million. So the truck that we actually just placed in service is a refurbishment. It is a 2003 model that we were able to send off, get completely refurbed, saved us several $100,000 and 2 years on the delivery time, and that truck will now serve us for many years to come.
Like a good airplane, it's still good for some time, right?
Exactly.
So is the department, in your view, keeping up with the rapid development that we're seeing in Lexington?
I think that we are, and I couldn't be more proud of our organization and our community for allowing us a seat at the table. So when we talk about things like the expansion of the urban service boundary, we're at that table, we're having those discussions about where fire stations are going to be needed, what additional resources are going to be needed. In just probably less than a month, or in a month or so, we will be adding our 13th ambulance that was approved in the budget. So we're very excited about that addition. It will help us keep up with the call volume for EMS calls.
Do you fear at times that things are happening so fast that there are streets being named that you don't know where they are, kind of issue? We see and hear that some.
Well, I think earlier in my career that was actually a big issue, because you would get paper map updates that would come out from time to time. But I think the use of technology really has enabled us to do a better job, perhaps, of keeping up. So as long as we have a seat at that table and we're involved in the planning process, I think we will continue to be on the forefront and be ready to continue to serve this community.
With the proposed expansion that you mentioned, and it is going to be significant, you are calling for additional fire stations?
I think that's going to be very important, and so we actually in our strategic plan have laid out a couple of different options. Our leaders have been supportive of that with the LFUCG, and obviously as those things start to build out, then we'll be having specific discussions about how big those stations are going to be and what apparatus is going to be in there. But certainly that is something that's going to be a part of that expansion.
Because sometimes it's a long run from a station to the response, right?
It can be, and so there's almost an algorithm that's involved with where you place stations, and it involves not only how far away from a fire station a residence is, but how dense that is and what the hazard level is, and the more homes that are built, the greater the hazard becomes. So that's when we really have to infill with fire protection.
You have had to assist a lot of other departments this year. There have been so many disasters that overwhelmed smaller departments. You have helped with water rescues and other ways that you've assisted those departments. Is that something that you just come to expect?
Well, yes, it has been, and it's something that, again, we've been supported very wholeheartedly in our efforts to support our neighbors by our leadership, and so I think that's going to continue. I don't see any change in that. And additionally, the state of Kentucky is onboarding a urban search and rescue team that's going to be statewide. And so while we still expect to be called for rapid mutual aid, we can deploy immediately. For some of these longer term events, once this urban search and rescue team gets put in place, they will be coming from all across the state to provide assistance throughout our state. And I think that's a wonderful development for our state.
Emergency response has become much more professional in recent years, hasn't it?
I believe it has, and I'm very proud of our industry. I've been in this industry for almost 30 years. I've watched a lot of evolution, a lot of change, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this. It's extremely meaningful, and I've watched it grow and develop and become what it is today, and I'm really happy. In
the middle of a hot summer here before the 4th of July, what else do you want us to know?
Well, I think speaking specifically about summertime hazards, there are a number of things that we have to be aware of. Certainly water safety. So please make sure that your family is prepared and safe around water. Heat, we've talked about. You're going to have to be prepared. Drink lots of water. Try to stay indoors. Watch what's happening throughout our community with that. Outdoor cooking is always a concern, so make sure that you're safe around those grills. Keep keep space around there. And then as grass and vegetation begins to dry, grass fires and wildland fires can become a very serious issue. So make sure that you keep a clear, defensible space around your home to prevent those fires.
Think ahead.
Absolutely. Planning and preparation.
Chief Wells, we appreciate you coming by.
Thank you so much.
Very much. All right. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back on Kentucky Newsmakers with Lexington Mayor Linda Gorton in just a moment. Welcome back to Kentucky Newsmakers from WKYT. During the heat of summer, the Lexington urban county government is busy, and Mayor Linda Gorton is here to talk about that. In the week ahead, the city will celebrate the 4th of July with several events. The new Gatton Park near Rupp Arena will be opening in August. The city council recently passed its largest budget ever at more than $540 million. We'll ask the mayor about that spending plan, what it will deliver, and it's about time to ask the mayor if she plans to seek a third term next year. Mayor, welcome. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much. It's always good to be here with you.
You as well. This week, Lexington has been under phase one of a heat plan that triggers several responses, including cooling stations, free bus rides. Do you believe the city does respond adequately in a situation like this?
I think we do. It's very interesting. We open these cooling centers every summer when it gets to a certain level of heat, and interestingly, not very many people use them, but we think it's a good thing to have them available. And then that free transportation by Lextran to get to the centers is, we offer that. So it's important, and we continue to do that when there's a heat issue.
We seem to always be dealing with extremes of weather, You proposed the largest city budget ever, and the city council actually increased it a little bit. Ironically, some of that increase is for additional cold and ice and snow response. We had a tough winter.
We had a very tough winter, and all of January and February were bad. So a couple of things we put in the budget is we put money for new trucks, and we put money for new equipment, salt spreading and plows to go on trucks we have. The equipment came in this week.
Oh, really?
So we're outfitting some of the trucks that we already have, and then those new trucks won't come in for a couple more months. They take a little longer. And we have plenty of salt and beat heat. So we think we're ready. We've worked with the school systems on bus routes and all of that to understand what their priorities are. And so I feel like we've upped our game, which we should have, and so we'll be prepared.
What do you consider to be the highlights of that $540 million spending plan?
Well, there are a lot of kind of basic things I put into it. We put in, of course, new classes of police, fire, trainees, corrections. We gave our employees a 3% raise, which is important to honor the good work that they do. I put $1 million for sidewalk connections, and then the council added to that. We put all the new snow equipment, which was big. Every time we order and purchase pieces of equipment, it's a lot of money. We've got a rather smallish bond this year, but it's got paving. We've got a total of $14 million worth of paving in our budget. And we have some new fire equipment and new police cars, and we've got design for a new fire training center. We tend to do these new buildings in phases. We'll design one year, we'll construct another year, do utilities if needed. So there's a lot of good solid things in there, and that's just the general fund budget. On top of that is all of our street lights, sewers, those kinds of things. So when you put the two budgets together, it's about $900 million.
Do you think long-term the city is planning appropriately for the development that is going to come based on some of the changes that have been made in the planning?
I do. We are very intentional about the planning for the expansion that was approved. It takes a lot of money, and a lot of infrastructure, roads, sewers, curbs and gutters, everything. And so we're planning for that right now. We're planning not only on how we will do it, but what the sources of money will be. The developers pay a good portion of it, and then the city pays some of it. And we have to plan for, in these areas where the expansion is going to take place, we have to plan for our own facilities, public safety and others. So it's a big operation. We have a consultant helping with that. So it's a lot of work and a lot of thought as to how to do this and how to pay for it.
You're appointing a task force on homelessness, which continues to be a major challenge. You cited numbers showing a 34% increase in homelessness in the city since 2020.
Yes.
The city generally uses temporary solutions to get through, the tough winter months and other times. What do you expect will be recommended by that task force?
Well, we're looking at having more permanent shelter, basically. We don't have enough shelter. What I want the task force to look at is not only shelter, which the city has put out an RFP to see what's out there, if anyone has some locations, but I also want them to look at how do we program it. Because my thinking is we don't just want to house people. We want to have some services to help them, whether they have a mental illness issue, whether they have an addiction issue, no matter what it is. And most people who are homeless didn't start out homeless. And so we need to find out where the points of improvement are that we can actually help people get a leg up. Some of them may be able to get a job with some proper skills and training. We just don't know yet, so we'll have to look at all that.
Generally, locating such facilities is often difficult, isn't it? With neighborhoods don't want that in their area.
It is difficult, and not just any piece of space will work. We have to have a certain amount of space, and it has to be on a bus line, and it has to, normally have things like sidewalks, and so it's difficult. We think our RFP will help us. People will take an objective look at where there's actually good space, and we can say that would work, that won't work. It's always controversial. And that's why I think with what the task force is going to do, we need to help ourselves move some of these folks into transitional and permanent housing and a job. That is the ultimate that I am looking for. There are a handful of cities who are doing that, not very many.
How much of a priority is affordable housing for you?
It's a high priority. And in this budget that council just approved, we have about $4.9 million that we're putting into our housing fund, and that will leverage hundreds of millions of dollars over the long term. It's a high priority. People have to have a place to live, right? If you know most nurses know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. One of the first ones is a roof over your head. So it's all related. And when you get a roof over your head, you're able to have job skills and, workforce and get a job and things like that. So
you recently announced the Legacy Business Park.
Yes.
147 acres for development. You believe that will eventually bring in close to $7 million a year, right, in local revenue. Are those places to be ready for businesses to come right in?
We're going to get it shovel ready. We have money for the infrastructure, so we'll build roads, sewers, curb and gutter, that kind of thing. And then they will be what's called shovel ready, so that businesses can come in, and the boundaries of the lots are a little flexible. So if a business comes in and says, I want 2 of these, but I want them all together, we can do that. And it's interesting, I wanted a business park that wasn't like traditional ones, so there will be bike paths, there will be green space, there will be places for people to walk through. It connects to the Legacy Trail, and so it will be we think it will be really good. We think about 1,700 jobs. That's pretty big. So it's we have a firm who are marketing it, and we've had lots of interest. But of course, businesses are waiting till it's shovel ready.
All right. Do you like the way Lexington is growing now? And you were always a champion of infill if you could do it, but there's a lot of push out at this point, right?
There is, and Lexington has very intentional planning. Everybody knows that. We have not sprawled out. Sprawl is very expensive because we have to do the infrastructure to go however far out the sprawl is, and our boundary has helped with that. I'm very happy about how we're growing, and our population is gradually growing. We like that. I have been to Austin recently, and the mayor there actually said our growth is pretty out of control because we can't keep up with the infrastructure. So the best cities are intentional, they're regular growth, and you're able to keep up with the infrastructure. And so the challenge will be, as we get bigger and bigger, to keep the balance of being a place where people really want to come and where visitors want to visit. Our tourism is huge right now, and a lot of that is the horse farms. So it's going to be a balance as we continue to get bigger and bigger.
Well, speaking of the 250 Lex events are continuing, do you like the way the city is celebrating the big milestone birthday?
I love it. I love it. We looked back, and the 200th birthday was one weekend of celebration. So we thought, why not do a year? We're halfway through. I hope people have gone to 250lex.com, which has all the events, and each month has a theme. July is culinary month, and we have had wonderful events that people have said, can we do this again? Which is a big deal. And in the fall we commissioned, so a couple years ago I put money in the budget to commission a piece of music, a composition, and Sean Peblo is doing it, local Tates Creek graduate. He's world famous for his compositions. We'll premiere that in September. In October, we will dedicate a new piece of art downtown. It's pretty big and pretty impressive.
We're hearing about that.
Yes.
The 4th of July, always celebrated in style in Lexington, and it will be quite a week ahead, right?
Yes, it's busy. People love that week. We've got everything from ice cream social to, of course, the Bluegrass 10,000. Lots of people like to run that on 4th of July morning, and we've got the festival, the parade, the fireworks. We've got the patriotic concert July 3rd. It's all on our website, lexingtonky.gov, and I hope people will come with water and hydrate. I think it'll probably still be hot, although maybe not in the 90s, we hope. It'll be fun. It's going to be great fun.
Gatton Park on the town branch, that's set to open in August. And they've hired a director who ran a similar facility, a public-private park in Austin, Texas. What are you expecting out of that? Well,
they have raised a lot of money so that they can be self-sufficient. And this new director has a lot of good experience on how to do this. And so we're really excited about it opening August 23rd. I think people will love it. It has things for families, walking trails. The town branch is daylighted, so you can actually see water running through. Yeah. And the new amphitheater is beautiful, and the first concert will be in September. It's just something that I think will just elevate downtown, and people are so excited to get in there.
One of several park and recreation projects going on.
Yes, in May we opened Kelly's Landing, which is on the river, and we're about to open Phoenix Park downtown. It will be very different from the old Phoenix Park, and it'll be wonderful. And then we've got, next month, we're opening Douglas Pool, which is not exactly a park, but it's right in a park. and of course then Gatton Park. And then meanwhile, we're working on Cardinal Run North. We had put a large chunk of money, $10 million, from ARPA funds into that. We've had the park land a long time, didn't have the money to develop it, so now we're getting there. So lots of good stuff. That's all quality of life, right?
So you have a lot of things underway.
Yes.
And you served on the Urban County Council. You were vice mayor. You came back and ran for mayor in 2018, easily reelected in 2022. I know a lot of people are asking the question, so here it is. Are you running for a third term next year?
Well, I haven't put anything out yet, have I? But I'm thinking about it, you know. It'll soon will be the time, you know, this summer sometime. I've got a lot of things to do.
Would it is fair to say you just want to leave the door open at this point, or?
Sure.
Yeah. Is it wide open?
Well, we don't know that yet, do we?
We don't, do you?
Oh, you know, I've had so much fun staying busy like this, and I love it, because a mayor is never doing the same thing every day. It's a good fit for me.
Appreciate you coming by.
Yes,
Thank you so
of course.
much.
Thank
Lexington
you.
Mayor Linda Gorton. We'll have to ask that question another time. We're coming back on Kentucky Newsmakers. We'll wrap it up in just a moment. And before we go, we have some word about next week's program. Mike Halligan will be with us from God's Pantry. We'll talk about the issues of hunger in Kentucky, which continues to be a major tough situation. Bridget Blum from the Pritchard Committee will also be talking about schools and education as kids are enjoying a break, but it won't be long before those school bells will be ringing again. That is this edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. We thank you for joining us. Hope you'll stay with us during this 4th of July week for the latest news on air and online at WKYT.com. And you make it a good week ahead.